Hi guys, it's Alan and welcome back to the Library of Alexandria. So today, even though it's a few days late, I'm going to talk about my July TBR. Now, I am trying to be better about being realistic about what I'm actually going to read in a month. I cannot read 15 books in a month. I just can't do it. Like, it just can't be done. And part of that is just because I do not listen to audiobooks. I have real trouble actually listening to audiobooks. One, I just zone out because I'll be doing something else and I will just zone out, even if it's like cleaning. And the other part is I like owning physical copies of books. So the only thing I would really ever want to listen to on audiobook is something that I didn't care about actually owning. And so those books are really few and far between. So that cuts out a whole bunch of time, like travel and driving and cleaning, that I could be reading, but not, because I don't really do audiobooks. And so I'm going to try to be super realistic about what I can accomplish reading this month. So first on my TBR, I know that this month I am definitely going to read Dust of Dreams, book 9 of the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. Guys, I am so close. This and Crippled God, I just got 2 more to finish out this series. Now this will probably be the last book I read in the month, because even from the author's notes in the very front of the book, this and book 10 are really one book split into 2, because modern day binding does not permit that large of a book to be put together without falling apart. So I'll probably go straight from this one into the Crippled God, so this will definitely be the last book I read in the month. Now the other problem with Malazan books is that when I read these books, they're the size of 3 other books, so it vastly limits the other books that I'm going to be able to read in the month, because it's so huge. I just cannot wait to dive into another series and finally be done with Malazan. Now I love Malazan. Malazan is awesome, but books this large, 10 books almost this large, it's just been an absolute challenge to get through all these books. So, Dust of Dreams, definitely gonna finish it this month and probably have Crippled God be my first book in August. Also on my TBR, I have Men at Arms, the second book in the City Watch Discworld books by Terry Pratchett. Guards is the first one. You can check out my review along with just kind of a Discworld primer that I have already up on my channel. Just as a spoiler alert, I already finished reading this one. I started my TBR just a little early and it only took me 2 days to read this, so I've already done this. So it's not really a TBR. But my review will come up in the month of July, so I'm counting it as my TBR. I have to get ahead because Dust of Dreams is going to take me so long. Next on my TBR, trying to continue review series I've already started, is the second book in the Black Company series by Glenn Cook, and this is Shadows Linger. This book is so much better than Black Company. It's just so much better. I've already started, as you can see, I'm already almost halfway through it, so I should be done with this tomorrow. And then I could put a review up for this as well. And then I can keep moving on with the Black Company series. This is a great series, guys. Don't let Black Company throw you off. Continue reading it, because Shadows Linger is much better than its predecessor. Next on my TBR is Senlin Ascends. Now this will be a brand new series that I will start reading. I don't usually like to start series while I'm reading other series that I haven't read, because what if this book is so good that I immediately want to read The Arm of, what is it, The Arm of Egypt? Something like that? I mean, if that happens, then the TBR is just going to be disrupted. If this is so good that I immediately need to read the next one, that's just going to be how it happens. But I let my wife look at all of my books that would possibly be my TBR, and this one interested her the most. And I haven't really seen anybody talking about this book on BookTube, at least not the ones that I watch. I always see this on lists of underrated fantasy books. This book looks awesome. My wife really wanted me to read this because it's about a headmaster and his wife who go on a vacation to what's called the Tower of Babel, and each of the floors in the Tower of Babel is kind of like its own little world, and he loses his wife and tries to track her down, and so apparently the world is really cool, and the lead character is a mild-mannered headmaster, so that kind of appeals to me as well. The cover looks awesome also, so I'm excited to see about this one. I have one more fiction to be read that will be decided randomly once my wife gets home. I have a random way of doing it, but it requires 2 people, so my dog can't help me, unfortunately. So, though I guess I could. No, that would be weird. So anyway, when my wife gets home, I will determine my last book on my fiction TBR, so I'll come back when that happens and just film that section and plug it in there. Okay, so right here, this is my setup. You'll see that each one of them has a post-it note under them, made by my wife. We got a Beholder, a Hook Horror, Black Dragon, Frost Giant, Avaleth there, Nightmare, Stupid Etten, sorry, Hill Giant. Okay, so I set up my little mini D&D army, and I have 2 of the cat's balls. As you can see, he is very excited for me to throw them. So I'm going to throw them and see which ones he knocks over. And that'll be my TBR. Get in! Spurgey! Come on, here we go! Spurge, don't run. Here we go! Oh, I didn't do it. Alright, then here we go. Come on! Well. Got the ball! Alright, so he's not actually going to knock those over. So we'll use the dog's ball. Sam, do you want to chase him? I don't know what his ball is. So plan B, I'm going to keep throwing this tennis ball until I knock one of them over. This is super convoluted, but whatever. Alright, so here we go. So you can face that way. Just see if you can see the damage. Here we go. This may take multiple tries. Oh, Bip! So, what happened? I got 3 down. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so I got 3 down. Alright, so I knocked over 3, so I'm going to choose out of these 3. I picked up my Ifrit and dropped him, and so he broke. And so his sword and part of his bicep are here. I have to re-glue him. So the choices are Shadow and Summer off the Ifrit, the Warded Man off of this Black Dragon thing, and then Mistborn off of the Frost Giant. I don't want to start Mistborn just yet, because if it's as good as people say it is, I'll immediately want to read the next one, and I have to bridge the gap between. I need to be able to read Dust of Dreams after or this month. So, and this is 650 pages. It's too long, so I'm gonna rule out Mistborn. Warded Man looks good, but Shadow and Summer is kind of a. I'm gonna pick Shadow and Summer. It's about like this guy who is like has a symbiotic relationship with like one of the gods, and like the life force of the god powers the city or something like that, which sounds really awesome. So it's the first book of the Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham. So I'm going to read that. This is going to be book 7 on my TBR. Woo! I like to keep a couple nonfiction books running at any given time, and currently I'm in the middle of How Rome Fell by Adrian Goldsworthy. This is about the fall of the Roman Empire and kind of causes. It's just kind of an examination of the causes that may not be the ones that are just like commonly accepted. It's super difficult because we don't have a lot of information about a century in there, like the 4th century. A lot of that's been lost, but Goldsworthy does a pretty good job. I'm still in the first section where he's kind of going through what the empire was like in the 3rd century before they had the massive crisis. Guys, there are too many generals killing the emperor and then proclaiming themselves emperor, and then their bodyguards or a different general kills them. They don't understand the damage they're doing. Guys, stop killing the emperor. You're probably gonna suck at it. Just stop. Let them have some time that doesn't have civil war so they can fix it. Please stop, because that's all they're doing, is they're just killing each other. And then the barbarians come. And the Romans thought that anybody who was beyond the borders was a barbarian. And then finally I have this book called Blessed Are the Misfits, which is by Brant Hansen. Now this is a book about what it is like to be kind of an introvert or an outsider or just kind of not fit in church culture, and anybody who just kind of fits that description. The author has Asperger's, which is why I picked it up, because I also have Asperger's. And if you have Asperger's, you understand how difficult and challenging it can be to kind of fit into the mold that society wants you to fit into, because certain things that are just taken for granted, like small talk, just don't really make a lot of sense, and things that do make sense to you make no sense to other people, and people don't really understand why certain things are important to you. I mean, this is part of the reason why I started a BookTube channel, because I like talking about books, and I will talk about books or Roman history. I'll talk about this stuff far longer than any reasonable person really wants to discuss it. And so this gives me an outlet to kind of talk about it and try to find other people who also care very much about this stuff and, you know, spark up a conversation. So I'm eager to read this one because this guy's in radio. I mean, he's had to navigate some pretty difficult waters to be a public personality with having Asperger's, not the least of which is having to have your picture taken all the time. I hate having my picture taken all the time. I can barely stand having this thing film. I don't look at the lens, I look right above it because it's just awkward to look into a lens. Anyway, long story short, having Asperger's is difficult sometimes. I'm gonna read a book about someone else who has Asperger's and struggles to fit in to society. So anyway, that is my July TBR. I know that's only, how many books is that? Oh crap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2 seconds, 3, 4, 5.
6. And then 7. I know that's only 7 books, but that is probably the ceiling on the amount of books that I can read in any given month. Well, if I don't have Dust of Dreams or a book that's like 1,300 pages, I can probably squeeze another couple in there. At any rate, if you've read any of these books, just let me know in the comments. If you like this video and you like my channel, please feel free to like and subscribe. As always, if you know of any kind of military, fantasy, or science fiction books that you really like, let me know about that in the comments to give me suggestions to add to my future TBRs. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.